What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV back here for a late night update for you guys. Quite a lot to talk about today, actually. We're going to start off with some outgoings, then come on to some incomings. Brian, we've got Brian from Tottenham on tour here. How you doing, Brian?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good, brother. Enjoying the late night activity and spending some time with you. So let's get into it, shall we?
All right, you ready to rock and roll?
As always. Oh, it's so hard not to say something else there.
All right, let's start off with the outgoings, and let's start off with Eric Dyer. Florian Plettenberg saying that Eric Dyer is not a hot topic for Bayern Munich at the moment, but not completely off the table either. The Englishman is not Tuchel's first option, but he is an alternative to João Palhinha, who has made his feelings known that he wants to join Bayern Munich from Fulham. And David Heitner says that Spurs continue to try and force Eric Dyer out of the club. He will not sign a new contract to replace the one that expires in the summer. And unless Dyer finds a move to suit him, he will not leave. And it is understood that the Serie A could appeal to him. So doesn't look like we're any closer to Eric Dyer leaving. He wants to join Serie A apparently, but no suitors there for him. Bayern are treating him as a second option to João Palhinha, which seems nuts to me. It's like he hasn't played central midfield for like 5 years. And they've got him as a second option. So how do you see this one playing out?
First of all, I'm surprised he's not 85th option, let alone second. Let's be serious. But I think what you could say with this, I think it looks like he's one Bayern Munich have got on the back burner that they've probably advanced in the negotiations. So should they need to turn to him before deadline day kicks in, they're probably a little bit further along the deal and easier to complete. We all found, we all found it strange that Bayern Munich came in, but it does look like I think it's clear to see his days at Tottenham are numbered. The manager has no interest in signing a new contract or giving him a new contract, so it's up to him now. Do you go and progress your career and play either at Bayern Munich, or you said hopefully a Serie A team will come in that takes his fancy, or do you just sit and stagnate for a year? I hope it's the first.
Yeah, I mean, let's hope so. I mean, the sooner he leaves the club, the better. I mean, to be honest, look, he's not featured in any of the Premier League squads. Didn't even feature last night in the squad where we played our second team, essentially. Didn't even get on the bench for that one. So if he's not appearing in any of these games, surely we can come to some sort of agreement where he just leaves now, whether he finds a club or not.
You would think so, wouldn't you? You would think so. I don't get what the benefits are of keeping him if you're not going to play him at all. We did this with Serge Aurier, didn't we? It's exactly what we did. You weren't going to play off, you go. I don't see that happening with any contract with any club until after the Saudi Arabia market closes, in all honesty. But I don't see the point unless he wants to be a chaperone and meet and greet and take people to their boxes like Dele Alli did when he came back. I just don't understand what he's still doing at the club or what his purpose is.
Well, not long to go till we find out what does happen with him. Not really. I mean, the window shuts in 2 days' time. It's crazy. It's
literally 47 hours, 6 minutes to be precise.
Yeah, well, there you go. Let's move on and talk about Japhet Tanganga. Charlie Eccleshare says that even after the Torino move fell through, Tanganga, who wants to play regularly, still has other options. So I do think actually something will happen before the end of the window for Japhet. What do you think? What are you thinking?
So yeah, for me, I just feel so sorry for Japhet. I really thought he was going to be someone. I really thought he could become a player at the team. Injury permitting, form hasn't been the best at times. I don't know these options. I don't know if I prefer a loan with him to come back and once we see he gets a good season under his belt, or just to cut ties. What are you on this, Ben?
What am I on?
Yeah, what are you? Would you rather he just went out on loan and came back and we see what we got, or cut ties and sell?
I'm open to all options, to be honest. I really am open to all options, but I think it's probably best just to part ways now for good. But if the only way we can get him out is like a loan with an option to buy, or even a loan where he can prove his worth and maybe add something to his transfer value and come back, I mean, I'm open to all options. So I'm not really too fussed. I think obviously he's a Tottenham Academy graduate where we haven't done the best to aid his development like we have done with other academy graduates. And I think it's definitely a fault on our part, the way he's progressed, in my opinion, because I think there's definitely a player in there. So maybe a loan with, if he can like announce himself at a team on loan and play consistent football and do well there, maybe he can come back and still have a future at Tottenham. But
Okay.
I'm happy to part ways as well, to be honest.
Well, the reason I asked you that, Ben, is this year, and Spurs best remember this because we have a habit of forgetting, we're allowed 7. That's 7 loans, Tottenham.
Yeah.
So remember,
2 down.
we've all 3. Spence,
3.
Roden,
Yeah.
Divine.
Yeah.
And I kind of want the last 4 loans to be used for people that have a pathway to get into the first team, not just go out on loan just because we don't want you at the club and then you come back to us. I don't want us to have these loans just as a way of clearing people out because we need them out. That's where I'm getting at with this. I'm torn with the Jaffet one like you, because we have to be careful with the amount of loans we take out. But there don't seem to be a shortage of takers, does there?
No, not at all. And I think, like I said before, if he can go get consistent minutes, either I think he puts himself more in the shop window, or maybe he has a life at Tottenham after the loan spell. I think, but he has to go out and play consistent minutes.
Yeah, that we
Either
agree
way.
with.
Either way. All right, let's go on to Davinson Sanchez. Sky Sports says that Davinson Sanchez is increasingly likely to stay at Spurs now, but a move isn't ruled out entirely. Obviously, it was a bit of a disaster class from him, and especially in the first half yesterday. But I've said a number of times, I'd prefer to get Tanganga and Dyer out the door and then try and see what happens with Davinson Sanchez, see if we can bring in someone else. Ideally, I do want to sell him, but I think out of the 3, I'd like to keep the most out of the 3.
Yeah, he suits the style of football the best, doesn't he? I mean, right, he did give himself a glowing account yesterday, but for the attributes that Ange wants, he is the best of what we got. And let's face it, you reported yesterday, I think it was, that we had a bid of 9 million turned down and we want closer to 15 to 20. I don't think anyone is coming anywhere near that. Honestly, and I don't blame them. So yeah, I'm completely with you on this. I'd rather see Dyer and Tanganga gone before we say goodbye to Sanchez.
Let's talk about Tanguy and Ndombele now. Romano says that Genoa are set to leave the negotiations for Tanguy and Ndombele as they haven't been able to find an agreement with the player and don't want to wait until deadline day. Fabrice Hawkins says that discussions are continuing between Ndombele and Galatasaray. Spurs are demanding 15 million euros for the sale. The player is also ready to stay at Tottenham if necessary. Dimarzio says that Inter Milan have also inquired about Ndombele, and Romano again said that Inter have just asked about the conditions of Tanguy and Ndombele alone for the final 48 hours, up to Inter whether they decide to proceed or not, but the interest is there. Ndombele is not the only option on the list for them as the Genoa deal 100% collapsed, and an Inter Milan publication say that Ndombele has been offered to Inter Milan through agents. The midfielder could ask for a salary of a minimum of 3 million euros per year and arrive on loan with an option to buy. Inter is evaluating the possibility as the club would like another midfielder. Just please take him, please.
Well, we should do one of those adverts that we see where please give £3 to get. It's getting to the point now where I don't understand. First of all, I don't understand what the Italians are seeing in him, and they saw him at close quarters last summer. Or last season, shall I say? Sorry. This is one where I wouldn't even wait till the window. I would just. He can't even do his transfers. He goes smoothly. How many teams have been in for him now? And they just collapsed because he's got. This is. I'm sick and tired. I'm sick and tired of talking about this man more than I was Kane. It's like just rip this guy's contract up, get him gone, and be done with it, because this story just keeps going, but it's with a different team. Oh, they're trying to convince Ndombele. Oh, deal's fallen through. Next one.
I think this is actually an interesting option for Ndombele because we gave an update this morning saying he wants Champions League football. Obviously, Inter Milan have Champions League football. Galatasaray, he didn't want to go to Turkey. He's not going to go to a newly promoted side in the Italian league. So, I mean, this one actually seems viable if they're interested, Inter Milan.
Yeah, let's face it. This is no disrespect to any Genoa fans if they're listening. Genoa or Inter Milan, let's face it, it's not a competition. I find it just funny that Tanguy and Ndombele demands Champions League football. How about we demand you play some football? How about we demand you literally show some?
Maybe.
Yeah. How about you try in training and listen to a manager and do what you're paid 200 grand a week to do? And he's got the cheek and the nerve to say, "I want Champions League football." But you're right, Ben. This deal smacks of it ticks all the boxes, doesn't it?
Yeah, let's just hope they have their finances in order, because he's going to cost a lot of money for them in
Yeah.
terms of wages, that's for sure. But look, he's on 200 grand a week. If we do loan him out, I mean, even just getting any percentage of the wages off is probably going to be a win for Spurs.
Yeah.
Never mind the whole whack.
Correct.
In terms of incomings now, let's talk about Brennan Johnson. Miguel Delaney says that many close to the situation have also expressed doubt over whether Daniel Levy and Marinakis can come to a deal over Brennan Johnson. And the Independent are claiming that Spurs are understood to be way off Forest's valuation of Brennan Johnson, which is at least £40 million. So, I mean, if the valuation is 40 million and they're looking at like Reguilon and Sanchez, surely there's a deal to be done there.
You would think so. You would think so. Those two headlines you read, as you can imagine, come as no shock to me. But what I will say is, obviously, we saw I don't know if you saw the tweet, Ben, or people watching, where people have come out and said it's either this guy or a certain guy that I think we'll talk about shortly. It certainly won't be both.
Yeah.
One is coming on loan and is a very good player, and the other one is 45, 50 million pound and is not happening. Listen, the one that's coming in is better than that one.
Before you carry on, the news that I told you before we went live has changed dramatically. So just keep that in your thinking.
Okay, I don't know which way to go now. Is it on the one we're about to talk about, or has something developed with Johnson? I could put my huge foot in my mouth.
It's nothing to do with Brennan Johnson. The news on Brennan Johnson is the news I've just given you.
Okay. So yes, we'll see. We saw a tweet saying it's one or the other. And yes, it looks like one has advanced a lot more, and maybe a little bit more to another twist in the saga, or a positive note. But yeah, it looks like that's the end of Johnson then, doesn't it?
Well, you say that, but let's talk about Ansu Fati now. Let's just talk about him. Helena Condis, which is a Barcelona ITK tier 1 source from Tottenham Tiers, says that Ansu Fati to Tottenham is 99% done. The only thing missing is the signature. And Postecoglou informed the player he'd be an important player in his team. He can travel to London tomorrow. Barcelona don't want to sell Fati. It's just a simple loan. Gerard Romero says that Ansu Fati to Tottenham on a simple loan. Barcelona didn't want to lose control of the player. Alex Pinatel, another Barcelona ITK, says that Ansu Fati will play for Tottenham pending the completion of a medical check. However, Fabrizio Romano has just tweeted, literally as we were starting the video, and he says, Brighton are closing in on Ansu Fati deal as Barcelona are prepared to accept the formal proposal received on loan. Ansu Fati has accepted Brighton as a destination. De Zerbi has been a key factor. Final green light soon, and then here we go.
So, I'm going to ask you a question. If I smack this laptop around my head hard enough, will I get a concussion?
Probably.
Because this is it not? Oh Jesus! Do you know what? If this does happen, then I don't know what else to say anymore.
And
I keep saying this.
Helena Condis, who's the one that said it's 99% done, has just given an update saying Tottenham's loan move for Ansu Fati has now collapsed. He's joining Brighton. What a bloody quick turn of events. Literally, she only tweeted that about 20 minutes ago. What is going on?
I'm going to be very, very, very respectful because I realise I'm on your channel and what this kind of news can do to me. But this just goes to show we go full ahead for a player. Everyone starts getting excited.
We've been gazumped by Brighton.
And he's rocking up. This is a Barcelona player, a hot prospect that is now going to Brighton. To Brighton. I just don't. I'm going to turn my phone off because my Twitter's about to go mad.
Now they have to go all out for Brennan Johnson. They have to deliver Brennan Johnson or someone. Like, this is ridiculous. How can we be 99% done on Ansu Fati and he turns up to Brighton
within 5 minutes? Literally, like you said, 20 minutes.
Brighton got European football to offer. We don't.
Oh, mate. But you say that now, Brennan Johnson's. We know there's other suitors.
Not for Brennan. Brentford have
Well,
completely.
Brentford were in. I'm sure there are. Listen, this football club is an absolute joke. And it just goes to show how badly this football club is run. And it just goes to show Ange's just tried to get him. We know Ange Postecoglou had a brilliant effect on Maddison with what he said to Maddison. And then he said this to Fati. You would have thought that would have been enough. But obviously, De Zerbi has come in and obviously said something else. And that I can't remember that they're in the Europa League, aren't they?
Yeah.
So yeah, there you go. There's that Europa League pool, or maybe he's seen their style of football and think it's best there. But I can't think for the life of me and why you choose Brighton. Well, I can because of the football and the way that club is run. But in all honesty,
Brighton though, what a signing!
Would you say this goes in as signing of the window now because of the club and the player?
I think it is just a loan, so he is going to go back to Barcelona at the end of the season. But I think, like, for a player who's been touted as like one of Europeans' biggest talents over the past couple of years, Barcelona literally gave him Messi's shirt when Messi left. I mean, this is a guy who could explode. We know he's had his injury problems and everything like that, but he's only 20 years of age. He had an injury-free season last year. I mean, this guy can explode, and with the way Brighton play their football, I think he's going to suit it down to a T. I mean, I still put the signing of the season down to James Maddison for the price that we got him at. I think it's absolutely sensational, but you can't feel massively let down when you hear like Ansu Fati to Tottenham 99% done, and then a minute later he's off to Brighton.
Well, this is the thing. What I'm trying to get when I say sign of the season, I mean, as in the jaw-dropping big one that you didn't see coming out of anywhere.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If someone had said in the summer, Brighton, Ansu Fati, your jaw would have dropped.
Yeah.
And just as you and me say, Ben, just another day in paradise.
Absolutely. Let's move on. Let's talk about Eberechi Eze. The Independent saying that Crystal Palace's Eberechi Eze is also being considered by Spurs, but it's probably out of the club's price range. Surprise.
Oh, that laptop going over my head's getting closer and closer.
Well, when you think about the price range being 80 million, I mean, did you ever think anything different?
Well, what you got to remember when we were talking about it before Maddison came, I don't think it was that high. I think it's now getting higher. I am a huge fan of his. I wanted him over Maddison. I still think, well, put it this way, with this deal going the way it has now, Spurs have to do something big. Spurs are going to have to do something big, or one hell of a mighty big explanation is demanded, not needed, demanded. And a player like Eze is someone that will certainly appease the fans.
Yeah.
To some extent. I think he is a wonderful talent. Eze is going to have 1 year left on his contract at the end of this season, and we all know there's going to be loads of takers. There will be loads of takers. And it's like, do you bite the bullet now and pay the fee? Or do you risk going up against big clubs and not standing a chance? He would be a dream signing for me, an absolute dream.
Yeah, me as well. And let's finish off talking about Harry Kane. For one last time, hopefully. The Telegraph saying that Harry Kane was barred from Tottenham Hotspur's training ground in the hours before completing his £100 million move to Bayern Munich. The club wrote in an email to formally tell Kane it would not be appropriate for him to return to their training ground ahead of formalising his transfer as he awaited to fly to Germany. It is also believed that Harry Kane's family could not access the suite he held at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium and had to rely on possessions being sent along with players, with the other players' belongings. And I mean, like, This is the club's record top goal scorer, club legend. Couldn't give more to this club than pretty much any other player has done in our lifetimes. And this is how we treat him.
It's not just that. I mean, I don't know if it was mentioned there. Apparently, the club sent Kate an email telling her Harry not to attend the training ground. What a wonderful, classy touch from this club. A heavily pregnant lady to say, by the way, tell your husband to stay away.
This is a player where there's a mural literally outside the stadium of this player.
You say the mural, a record goal scorer, has done everything that's ever been asked of him. And because, I mean, everything is piling up now, isn't it? It's coming to a huge crescendo. I mean, what a horrible, horrible way to split this partnership. Yes, whether people are still annoyed Harry went to Bayern or whatever, which I'm not. Yes, I'm upset he left. Am I annoyed or do I blame him? No. This has gone from a guy that was brought up through the youth academy, a guy that has supported this club, a guy that has been the poster boy for this club, a guy that has been the record goal scorer for this club, record goal scorer and England captain, record goal scorer. And this is how it ends. It just goes to show how much of a shambles the business side of this football club has sunk us to.
This is no way to treat a club legend. It really isn't. He should have been, they should have rolled out the red carpet. Well, I say red carpet, the blue carpet, shall I say, out of this club. I know, nobody wanted to see him leave, but he deserves to be treated with the utmost respect out of anyone. If anyone deserves it, he deserves it. And the way this club has treated him after leaving or whilst he was leaving, heard some other stories as well, which really didn't sit right with me, the way Daniel Levy was treating him. And I think it's just disgusting, man.
Correctly. Mate, nothing from this club ceases to amaze me. Yeah. And like I've said to you before, Ben, you know how I stand on this and you know how I feel about this board and this ownership. And sometimes I get it wrong. And sometimes I get very, very emotional. And sometimes I do get dramatic or whatever, but it's because I've been like this for 15 years. And then things like this happen. And I just don't. What can you say?
And now Brennan Johnson seems to be off the table. Fati seems to be off the table. No talk of a centre-back coming in. And we're under 48 hours to go until the close of the window. We've still got about 5 or 6 players that we need to get off our books. I mean, what are we doing here?
Yep, it's just another 48 hours for transfers to go through, and at least we tried.com, or we ran out of time, even though we've had 3 months, and all the other excuses that will come out. This is just not how a football club should be run. It's not how a business should be run. I hope you have a wonderful day in the studio tomorrow.
Well, Ange Postecoglou said it was going to be a fun week. I don't feel like I'm having fun, to be honest.
Mate, you know what? We spoke, I think it was on Monday.
Yeah.
And we were saying this about, it was in the car yesterday. And we're going Longley to Villa, Dyer to Munich, Johnson in, Carabao Cup. And then you said those words. 24 hours later, the only good thing is to thank Aston Villa for getting Longley.
You know what? Yeah, we were in such high spirits on the way to that game yesterday. And ever since we saw the football we were spewing up in that first half. I mean, things have just gone from bad to worse.
Yeah.
Anyway, that is your Tottenham update for today. Hopefully things will change very soon and we will get some targets in and out the door. But Brian, thank you very much for joining me today. Everyone do go and subscribe to Tottenham on Tour. Brilliant Spurs content. And we'll see you all very soon. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.